So I was thinking about this the other day and I wanted to share it with you all because it's the most important prepping goal for any prepared citizen to achieve. This is something that you need to be planning for if you have any inclination of ever having to defend your home or your community or even your country as a whole, depending on what scenario unfolds. And if you're out training to be a Minuteman and you have the time and the energy to go out and actually become proficient with firearms and start learning tactics and understanding doctrine and everything else related to maintaining a level of constitutionality while also ensuring the security and stability of your community, then this is something you need to consider because prepping and being a prepared citizen go hand in hand. But there's only one way for you to actually get out there and make a difference when things fall apart that can allow you to do that without having to sacrifice everything that you care about in the process. So, before we get started into the meat and potatoes of everything, I want to mention that Midway USA is the biggest supporter of the channel. And thanks to Sam's mom, I have a pretty awesome hat now. So, Merry Christmas to you. It's much appreciated. And Midway USA has done a lot to support what I do here, which means they are fans of the preparedness community as a whole, which I think is pretty awesome considering not every company likes to dip their toes in that water. So a big thanks to Midway USA. Now, what am I referring to? Look, it's no secret. If you're out there with a rifle like this or a pistol on your hip and you're training and trying to become proficient and you want to be able to be an asset if anything ever comes up that requires that, well, clearly you understand the importance of why those skills need to be learned because, well, they diminish quickly if you don't practice. And if you go up against anybody else who's better trained than you, you're at an extreme disadvantage, right? But if you were to say deploy, and when I say that, what I mean is you have to leave your home to go check on your town, go check on your community, go see who is causing a problem at your neighbor's house, go find out why there's a fire at the end of your cul-de-sac. Try to understand what's happening on the top floor of your apartment building, right? Whatever it may be, everyone's circumstance is different, and it doesn't really matter what your situation is. This applies to everybody, anybody who considers themselves a prepared citizen or even a Minuteman of some sort. If you have to leave your home to verify that security and stability is maintained in your area, you have to be confident that your family or whoever it is you're leaving behind has everything they need and has all of their bases covered. You cannot be an asset unless your family is taken care of first. And if you are out training and getting good with a rifle and trying to become an asset regarding the prepared citizen / Minuteman movement, but your family wouldn't be able to survive without you for more than a week, then you need to reevaluate some of those priorities and understand that you need to make that happen. The prepping goal that needs to be achieved by everybody who considers themselves to be part of, let's just say, a national defense scenario, is that your family needs to be fully set and ready to go without you being there. Because if they're not, then you can't leave. You can't deploy, and you cannot be an asset to actually help your community in that time of need. And that's why it's really important that you balance everything very well. Because I spend a lot of time on the range, mostly because I enjoy it, but I also find there to be practical application for why becoming more proficient is a good idea. If we ever find ourselves in that dangerous situation, I'm not good enough to have confidence in surviving anything along those lines. But the more I improve and the more time I spend putting some energy into this, the better chances I have, I guess, is how I kind of look at it. That might not be true, but it at least gives me a false sense of hope, which is worth having sometimes. But regardless, none of it would matter if I walked out the door for more than 24 hours and immediately my family wasn't sure what food they had to eat or if they were going to have water or if they'd be able to turn the lights on or not, right? So this isn't necessarily a call to action, but this is a challenge per se, or maybe just a directive that I would implore you to explore. First, evaluate yourself and your family. Could you walk out the door right now and they be fine for you for months on end without you, right? Could they be fine? Could they be fine without you for a week? Could they be fine without you for a day? Okay, and once you understand how long of a period of time they would be okay without you, then you actually understand what you're capable of outside of that domicile, right? And without that understanding, you might sign yourself up for something that doesn't only put you at risk, but also puts your family at risk. And you have to prioritize their safety and their stability over anything else. Because if they're not safe and stable, you're not an asset when you're out and about doing this or that. And that's just the truth. So make it your prepping goal and achieve it. Make it so your family could be okay without you. And whatever that means, because everybody's family is different. That could mean that you have a dog. Would your dog be able to be fine if you went to go deal with a threat and didn't come home for 10 to 12 days because maybe you got hurt and had to get medical treatment? Like, is that something that would be reasonable? Does your neighbor even know you have a dog and maybe think to check to see what's going on if you haven't been around lately? Right? Like, these are all things to consider. And of course, for people like myself who have children and a wife, if I had to leave my home for any extended period of time, well, I know that they'll be okay for quite a while without me. But do you have plans in place? Do you have contingencies? Do you have timestamps in the sense of, hey, if I don't come back by this amount of time, here's what you need to start doing, right? Like, these are all things you definitely need to prioritize over just being an asset. And then once you have all that planned out, once you have it figured out, or once you have the supplies or the food storage or water or anything else required to keep everybody safe and secure and comfortable in the meantime, well, then you can actually start becoming an asset for more than just your household, right? So I just want to have this conversation. Obviously, we're coming up on the holidays. It's very family-centric when it comes to where your focus should be. And I think that we have to remind ourselves every so often that this stuff is all great, and this stuff could definitely serve an important purpose depending on whatever happens. But if all you're doing is this stuff, but you couldn't actually feasibly leave your home because everybody else inside would have nothing if you were to walk out that door, maybe it's time to reevaluate that a little bit and try to prioritize getting yourself into a position where you don't have to think about it if you ever need to make a move like that, right? And look, I'm just some guy. Don't take my word for it. Start racking that brain of yours and do some critical thinking and see if that aligns with sensibility or logic. And if it doesn't, then you can let me know. But every so often, I like to have these philosophical conversations because we need them sometimes as a reminder. And I need them just as often as you do. And trust me, some of the best pieces of advice I've gotten is just from listening to other people have conversations just like this one. So, hopefully, you enjoy the time with your family. Hopefully, you prioritize your family when it comes to preparedness. And hopefully, you're out training and becoming more of an asset in case we ever need you. And when I say we, I mean constitutionally focused Americans, not just some guy off the street, right? Like, we might need you. And I appreciate the support that I get here on this channel, and I appreciate being part of a community where the majority of us fit that label. So, anything else you need from me, and I'll go to magicprepper.com. And besides that, that's going to be it for Magic Prepper.